T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Whoa! Whoa! Welcome back to the Mid-Heaven Podcast.
This is the peace dealer, the gun jumper right here.
I tried to start the episode too soon. I got told what's up.
But it's all good. This is a fateful reunion. There we go. Of your favorite Hermes and Hades combo. But this is gonna be a little different. I'll say that for sure. Cause
oh boy,
nothing will ever be the same after you.
You say that all the time. You're like, you know, like those YouTube astrologers that are like, this is gonna be a life-changing transit.
Don't blow
this is fucked.
Cover.
I'm not even kidding. This is like when they turn up the heat on the stove. I feel like this is this. I mean, you talk about Hades. This is a very Hades moon.
Yeah. Literally. Actually, it's gonna be right on Hades.
So we are here to talk to you about the July 13th, 2022 full moon in Capricorn.
Oof.
Can we call it that? Can we call it the full moon in Capricorn?
And isn't it detriment?
I mean, it's conjunct Pluto.
Might as well. I think if you are already heartless, this will be quite incredible. But, you know, this could be the end of certain feelings forever.
I want to see how this new moon is in your chart, because that's going to be a lunar return to make you shit your pants.
We'll see.
Your moon's at what, 23?
23. Saturn 24. Yeah.
To be a fly on the wall to see what goes on in regards to that 28-day period.
It's definitely a build-up. I'll say that.
What do you think it's going to be?
That's a really good question. I guess, like I always say, life-changing. You know what? Jupiter is on my Mars 8 degrees, so actually that's going to be quite shifty. Shout out to Rick and Morty, you know. Yeah.
I mean,
I'm looking forward to that one. I'll say that for sure.
I'm also interested because I could be wrong, but Jupiter's getting ready to station.
Oh yeah, and Leo season will go retrograde.
Yeah.
At 8 degrees.
Yeah.
So
that's something. But obviously, when we're looking at a full moon in Capricorn, we don't want to just look at the aspects of the moon. Conjunct Pluto is like under the cosmic pressure cooker.
Yeah.
But the Saturn-Uranus square is returning.
Yeah.
I heard somebody talking about this recently. I forget who it was, so I would give them credit, but I don't remember. But they were essentially saying that obviously we know that like the Saturn-Uranus square, Saturn wants structure and like form and commitment, and Uranus wants freedom. So they've been in friction to each other on and off last year. It's coming back the whole rest of 2022, so buckle up. But it's almost like Saturn can stabilize all of the wild fluctuations that are going on with Uranus.
Yeah.
Right? So in some ways, like, Saturn's not the bad guy. Saturn's basically trying to kind of, like, keep from something totally, like, breaking loose.
Like a Wall Street bet situation.
I just think Saturn and Capricorn is, like, the government trying to kind of wrangle the masses in regards to this inflation stuff and things in regards to people getting freaked out and paranoid over, like, food shortages. But Saturn's important. You know, thank God Venus isn't a trine to Saturn, so that's like the one saving grace.
We definitely have to look at December and then March because this full moon's going to be a completion of our understanding where we're not going to be in the dark anymore after this. It's literally going into Leo, like, this is going to be very dramatic because the way things have been unveiled, it's definitely going to just like push us with the Aries square into individual realizations. And, it's already been messy. So I love all of this, but I don't think that for normal people, this will be pleasing.
There's a kite formation. Maybe it's because I've trained my eye to see it, but do you see it? See how there's a grand water trine
Yeah.
between the Sun, Neptune, South Node, which in
Yeah.
itself is highly emotional,
What the South
releasing,
Node?
purging, healing. But the focal point would be that kite formation, which is
With
going
the
to
Uranus?
be no Moon Pluto. See the kite?
Oh, I see. Yeah. Oh, okay. Pluto's the kite. Yeah.
Kite. So when you have a opposition and a trine,
Damn.
so actually the Moon Pluto is the breakdown, which is, I think it's wonderful. I know many people wouldn't agree, but I think it's wonderful because it's basically showing you like where the storyline is changing and like what actually needs to break down to give way for what we're nurturing. So it's really going to highlight that dynamic between the 4th house, 10th house values of like what we have to do in our own emotional sense, our private life, our home and our families versus our responsibility out in the world. And I think that it's like you said, it's like getting ready for the boss battle.
No,
That
for
Sun's
real.
getting ready to oppose Pluto for the very last time before Pluto goes into Aquarius next spring.
And we'll feel that for sure.
There will be a conjunction between the Sun and Pluto one more time,
Super
which is going to be
extreme.
super fucking intense because
Yeah.
next spring of 2020, I mean, I know astrologers, my husband's always being like, oh, astrology's like, if you think this was crazy, wait till next year. But like, really
That is
though?
literally it, though.
But wait for next year because when you see Jupiter, Uranus align and the North Node.
Oh my god.
Then the nodes are going to move into Libra and Aries, and it's going to square Pluto. So people are going to realize that whatever the thing that you're resisting, wherever Capricorn is in your chart right now, whatever you're resisting, like kind of like letting go of or like killing off,
Boom.
it's going to happen.
It's no longer just going to be crumbling. It's
I hope
crumbling.
you're paying your fucking taxes. That's all I'm going to say to you looking at some of these transits.
The IRS has got me by the balls. Paying
What?
them. They got me on the monthly payment plans.
Pimpin' ain't easy.
No.
Pimpin' ain't easy.
They caught me for like 2017. I thought I had paid that. They're like, no, bitch, you owe us. I was like, fuck you. But I got, they like, see, I'm figuring out if I could go sovereign, I guess. Or if I like get a trust. But I think that by 2023, there might be a way for regular citizens to bypass paying the IRS.
Aren't those motherfuckers like 5 years behind anyway? How'd they get you for 2017? Okay, it's 2022. All right.
I don't know.
I didn't even know that. I'm just thinking about your 8th house. At least it's happening in a more private part of your chart.
It's monthly payments they got me on. I'll just say that. But I'm gonna get you, IRS. I'm gonna find a way.
The Fed just entered the chat.
I'm gonna find a way to have you pay my taxes for me.
I just think that it's gonna be like the epitome of like, fuck, we've had Pluto in Capricorn since 2008. So this is
Conclusion.
yeah, this is like, oh, like what have we been doing for the last like that many years?
I don't think people are gonna be paying taxes Pluto Aqua. I don't know why. I know
yeah,
that.
because everybody's going to be
Debt
in
to
a system
infrastructure
and they're
or
just
something,
going to
but
be
I don't
like,
know.
click a button, they're going to take your taxes. That's what's going to happen.
Oh my god.
That's what's going to happen.
That'll be great. But then I can see people just not paying it, and then just people getting.
You don't have to pay taxes if
Arrested
you're living
by the
off the
government.
grid. You're not using you're not using anything.
Shoot. I mean, but this is so key because like where Pluto is right now, and the last time Pluto was there is all because of taxes. It was all because of taxes. So it's just all gonna. I think a full moon like this brings all of these details to the surface too, because a lot of this is very vague until.
And it's at a 21. So this moon sextiles the south node.
Is that a Capricorn degree?
Trines the north node. It's Sag.
It's a Sag degree.
It's going to be about law and legality in regards to taxes and resources and digital assets.
And with Jupiter, probably the introduction, soft launch of like, hey, this is what we could do, and in 2023, this is what we're doing. So yeah, I mean,
Every time I look at like transits between now and like August, I see that North Node Uranus, and I just like, I don't know what to think. I don't know if it's exciting.
yeah,
Does it feel exciting to you?
No, it does, but like not a full excitement because we don't know exactly what it could be.
It's an opposition to my sun. It makes me want to fight everyone.
I love the fighting. It's random. It's very random. It's very unexpected. And no one really knows exactly what's happening yet. So that's why I feel like this full moon is another literal turning point where like coming through that revolving door, people are gonna be it trines Neptune too. So like huge unveilings. Just like
This is gonna be about
happening.
I think this is gonna be about the housing market and what they're trying to do to prop
Shit.
things up to prevent there from being some major breakdowns. But I can't unsee that kite
Alternative
formation
fuel.
with the moon Pluto with like everybody
Electricity.
going, oh fuck, things are changing. And Capricorn deals with like responsibility, government, but also like guilt. Like this can be a lot about like guilt revolving around like the past or what we should be doing. Oh boy.
And it trines Juno too. Trines and sextiles. It's just a lot of new concepts completing at once before people have an idea to process exactly what's happening, aka Virgo season. So I can see a whole lot of things trying to be introduced at once before people have an idea of what it is. But I think the key here is Venus and Gemini and that quincunx, which is just gonna like mind fuck.
That's
everyone.
huge. We were just talking about that before we got on the
Yeah.
on this episode. I was
The
like,
Saturn
when
trine.
the sun hit 28 and 29 degrees of Gemini and at quincunx Pluto, I was like, that's it. I quit. I'm like melting.
Yeah.
I'm also, listen, the Saturn-Uranus aspects are strong, but Saturn is trine Venus, which is the ruler of the North Node, so it's trying to stabilize something.
Which is square Neptune, though.
Saturn is also semi-sextile, both Neptune and the moon. And Pluto. So there's something going on. Remember, when we're dealing with like Capricorn, Aquarius, like Pisces,
Collective authority and laws.
yeah. I don't think like the real showdown's gonna possibly happen until later on when the sun comes into opposition with Pluto. It'll be a couple days.
But that'll definitely set it up for sure, like a week from now.
And I also feel like when Venus comes into an opposition with Pluto as well, that'll be really prominent because then there's going to be this realization that something is breaking down. We are becoming fixated.
That's
on,
also a biracial couple telling their parents, we're getting married, whether you like it or not. It's just very taboo. So, and that sun opposition is definitely the lead up to that. So, it's going to get very spicy.
What do you make of the Saturn quincunx the sun?
Especially with Venus square Neptune around that period, it's right before the social opposition. So this is a whole group of individuals reacting emotionally to the government saying this is what it is before they all band together in Leo and be like, fuck what it is. So that's like that pressure cooker that like...
Part of me wonders about like Leo season, just knowing like the grand fixed cross that's going to set up, and I feel very strongly that we're going to see major disruptions with the internet or with the grid.
Lots of revolution. Because remember, this is really just the completion of last year. Last year, we started to see a lot of those seeds get sowed while people didn't know exactly what's happening, and then Virgo season happened. So this is just like a revisit.
But time and time again, if we go back to the last 2 or 3 years when Saturn, Pluto, Jupiter were in Capricorn, when we see oppositions to Cancer, it was scaring people into staying in their homes.
Exactly.
And when we saw Uranus that was in Aries during the squares, it was the riots, the people going out, and it's like, oh, it's not safe, people are violent, or they're having these protests, don't leave your house. So everything has been intentionally created to stir the pot and create fear into people coming together and being able to leave their home space. And so I guess I would not underestimate the water trines of just how emotional people get about the possibility of another orchestrated crisis. Anytime you see an aspect to Pluto, a conjunction or opposition is crisis.
Well, we have to also remember that whatever crisis this is going to be the final one before Pluto goes in Aquarius. So this is going to set the tone for like the next decade, in my opinion.
Pluto will retrograde back, though, briefly.
Yeah.
It'll only go into Aquarius for a couple months. It'll only go to 0 degrees. But it'll be enough for, like, Pluto to show up next spring and be like, hi, bitch.
Yeah.
And then retrograde back. Right? And then we'll see Pluto square the node. So it's, it actually makes me feel like, and I know I sound crazy saying this, but this is the final wave of them being like, everybody needs to get in their houses because we got a few more tweaks we need to make before we roll everything else out.
WHO conspired against. Okay, I will definitely say, you know, when Pluto goes into Aquarius, all you conspiracy theorists, it's gonna be clear that you were. See, I don't know, like, some of you believe in a flat earth, and I can't help you. But, like, all you a lot of the conspiracies, Pluto Aqua, will no longer be conspiracy theories. Like a good 90%. Just kind of like they said 99% of NFTs will be useless. I think we'll see that, too. But, like, it's going to be like a flip switch.
I have some real concerns with the Sun conjunct Ceres in opposition to Pluto. I think we're going to see stuff in regards to stuff pertaining to reproductive health and women's health that's not so pleasant, unfortunately.
And long-term effects of a lot of the technology we've acquired since the year 2000.
Yeah, I mean, just the amount of radiation alone. I don't think people realize that. I mean, I was reading a thing the other day that was talking about that, like, the amount of radiation from a pair of AirPods is, like, ungodly, and, like, people don't know this, but it's, like, enough to create, like, deep, like, calcification inside of your ear tunnel, apparently, and also make you more predisposed to, like, having hearing issues. And, like, call me crazy, but ever since I read that, I was like, I'm fucking going back to just, like, traditional earphones. And the other day I was in the grocery store and I had it, like, plugged into my phone, and people were like, what the fuck? And I'm like, I don't know. So
it's like the AirPod generation. Like, you'll be able to see.
Yeah, I mean, Uranus and Taurus is literally about how vibrations affect our body. You know, so you're looking at generations of people who have been exposed to cell phones, pagers, routers, I mean, anything that's abnormal. And what's concerning is if we've been bombarded with these frequencies our whole lives, what's going to stop there from being some kind of wave of, like, vibrational threats or other, like, there's things that are coming out in terms of crowd control that people are not aware of and they're not ready for. Like, they don't need actual combat anymore to deal with crowds. There's going to be, like, literal frequencies and things that they can set out. And call me crazy, but this whole Saturn square Uranus thing with all these cows dying, I'm like, of course it's happening, and they're testing it out on cows.
Yeah, Uranus and Taurus, and I feel like a lot of these... But
square Saturn, it's death.
It's square Saturn, exactly. And I think a lot of these discoveries individually being made, because it's one thing if the mainstream reveals it, right? But if an individual reveals it and it's subject to criticism, what do you feel about a lot of these groundbreaking discoveries happening from someone on TikTok versus the news on CNN? And that trend of who people believe more.
I'm not wild about TikTok because there can be a lot of bullshit on either side. I mean, you gotta consider that.
Exactly, yeah.
You know, mainstream media is definitely tanking in terms of views, and in turn they're getting more desperate, and they're just generating stories to kind of get some kind of exposure. But I can't fucking wait until Saturn and Neptune go into Aries, and we're gonna realize that the people who are out in the field doing their due diligence to, like, really show people what's really going on. I mean, I also feel like on the flip side, Saturn, Neptune, and Aries can be this realization that we don't need to be in a prison cell to be confined. We can be confined because we're strapped into a pair of Oculus goggles or something. So it's like we're going to start learning the difference between the boundaries between us personally and other people. And in spite of a lot of stuff we talk about, I have hope for the future.
I think a lot of what we sounds like negative might actually be exhilarating. Like the reality of it versus you would think that war and like all this would be bad, but it actually could most likely turn out so exhilarating, so liberating. It may not even be as serious or intense as we expect.
We have Saturn Neptune conjunct needly, and that might be part of it. It's a little different when you have it in Capricorn, but Saturn, when it's going to be in its detriment in Aries, and the conjunction to Neptune, which is in Aries, which is also in its fall, right? Yeah. Then
Saturn,
it's like.
Oh, that's true.
Something about that makes me feel like it's.
That's opposite America's Saturn too.
Yeah, there's something that's definitely going to.
If America ever lost authority to command the law, or if America ever lost the ability,
they may dissolve their armed forces, which sounds really fucking crazy.
It would happen Saturn and Aries, and the last time Neptune was there, we had a civil war. So
but if we end up moving into the future where we see this global, like we give up our rights to being a sovereign nation, and we have one world army, one world government, whatever. They may say like, oh well, we're disarming it, we're not doing this because we're focusing on peace, when in reality that may not be the case. Right. So and
a lot of this is end game. So like, you're not gonna realize the true intent until it's too late, which is why you gotta look past the Neptunian deception, and that's gonna look like you're crazy or delusional. And because we don't have all the information, you may actually be a little bit delusional or crazy, but you could still be headed in the right direction. So I think a lot of this full moon in its cardinality will reveal, are you in the right direction or not? And if you're not in the right direction, you'll be revealed how to feel to go in the right direction. And if you are in the right direction, you'll head more into that direction and come into victory in Leo season.
Here's a question I have for you. So if the moon is the ruler of just the nodes, if you think about like the nodes, right? And we see the moon conjunct Pluto rules the south node, and the sun in opposition to the ruler of the south node, like what the fuck is going on there? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like something about the moon conjunct the south node is representing this collective letting go, releasing, melting down. And then we see the sun that's still in a sextile to the north node. And the moon, even with the conjunction of Pluto, trines the north node. So it's almost like going to be this mass like, hey, we have to liquidate this stuff, or we have to, tax the stuff, or like whatever, something changing, major powers shifting,
and revisiting what you said about nationalism too. That's going to come to a head, and because now the people who founded this country versus the rights you see now, it's like integrating all that shittily, because it's not pure. So what you're asking is very important, because everything about that's coming to a head with Jupiter squaring everything. And that, I feel, is also going to be a huge climax to how dramatic Leo season will be, because it's just another layer added on to a lot of the rhetoric being pushed.
Leo season is probably wholeheartedly going to be the most dramatic, the most challenging of all year, even in spite of some of the Saturn conjunctions and the squares.
You want to follow the case with Young Thug and Tory Lanez with Megan Thee Stallion.
About her not getting shot?
Yeah.
I know enough. It was like ricocheted or something, but she thought it hit her feet?
Who knows? I mean, he didn't have DNA on it. It could have been her friend or her who shot it. But, like, we need to know, like, because Young Thug is also a Leo who's on trial for a RICO case, and you have to follow the Leos, because that's going to let just like a Groundhog Day. If they're guilty, they're guilty, right? But, like, it is going to be super dramatic. I mean, this is the last Saturn opposition we're going to have. This is the last Pluto opposition we're going to have. By this time next year, Saturn's going to be in Pisces. So this is all conclusion.
Such an important time to watch. Just coming off of our last episode where we talked about America's birthday, 27 and 33 solar arc minutes is the Pluto placement. So this is highlighting America's the second point in the Pluto return. It's retrograding to the exact point. So actually America's finances and resources are on the line, but I think it's going to be about I still feel very strongly it's about legality in regards to home property taxes, what land you can own, and trying to put the kibosh on letting foreigners move in and monopolize on buying up parts of American land.
You just confirmed something for me, though. We know the last time Uranus was in Taurus, America had its Great Depression after the Roaring '20s. So personally, you know, Saturn Libra is in its exaltation. We had America's laws founded on here, right? The fact that Saturn's going to be in its fall, coming back into this like post-recession period, I think you kind of have to expect the declination and death of the infrastructure. Like, I don't think police will have the authority it has right now. And we're going to enter a short period where you can call the police and they're not going to come. You know what I mean? Like a temporary state of anarchy, maybe because of civil war. And a lot of this can just happen. Like, we're in the soup. We're in the environment for anything to just happen unpredictably. So you want to think of it as like an event space. And this full moon is opening the revolving door. Because remember, we have nothing in the socials too. Like, it's empty, the right side.
I'm very curious about not just the conjunction to Pluto, because, you know, anybody who's going through a natal, you know, Pluto conjunct your natal moon, or if you're born as a Hades moon, you know, just that you're always under this constant pressure cooker. But the sextile to Neptune and the trine to the North Node and the opposition to the Sun and then the sextile to the South Node, there's something going on here that's basically being like, look, when it comes to our physical reality, when it comes to our resources, when it comes to how we feel about whether or not we feel safe and secure, like shift is happening. We're seeing lots of things kind of hitting the fan, and I'm super intrigued by just the fact that the dispositor of the Sun is conjunct the South Node ruler. It's going to represent this is what we need to take away in order to give you security. It's like a power grab.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, in order to kind of incentivize people, perhaps maybe especially here in America, being like, it's okay, like, you know, you can still own your home, but like not technically, so we need to like do X, Y, and Z
that
to
sounds
protect
like
you.
Domestic terrorism.
Well, I mean, apparently anybody is a domestic terrorist who questions the 2020 elections, and also if you question the narrative revolving around the virus.
Yeah.
You're considered a domestic terrorist by, like, literally.
That's crazy.
So I mean, it's a bit of like a dangerous time, I think, with some of the stuff that's going on, trying to control the narrative. And like, you know, Capricorn is known for wanting to be in charge of something. So as the moon comes into conjunction with Pluto, I don't know, I think it's going to be about how much control governments are having over the moon, Cancer, lives of citizens and individuals, and law and legislation relating to that. And like, can they just show up into your home? I mean, in recent weeks, we've heard things about legislation that's being passed if you're within so many miles of a border city, right? All in the continental United States. If they feel in any way, shape, or form that perhaps there are individuals who are considered aliens in the United States, like, do they need a warrant to enter into your house? And like, how has that been expanded if you're also within so many miles of a international airport? So they're saying it's for domestic security, when in reality, is it? Because now people can apparently enter your home without having to have any documentation, and like the laws and the rules are bending to be able to give more power to the government. I mean, it's a really fucking scary thing. It's really scary.
And a lot of that can just happen without it being broadcasted, and like no one will ever really know, because it can be interpreted any way. But you know, this lets me know more and more. This is all leading up to this Sun conjunct North Node conjunct Uranus. Exact.
Well, when that happens, you know it's with Mars. I mean, I'm also thinking about, let's go day by day. I'm also thinking about when like Mercury comes to that opposition point, because there's going to be a Sun-Mercury cazimi. It'll oppose that same degree when the moon conjuncts Saturn. So there's some hard realignment happening around mid-July. And then the Sun with Mercury comes into an opposition with Pluto. Yeah. and there's going to be news, okay, this is astrology, of a really prominent man, you know, passing or having an ailment or a heart problem or something, like Sun, Mercury, and Cancer in opposition to Pluto, perhaps we'll hear about a real significant leader, especially right around the 18th, 19th, 20th, passing or, you know, losing his place in power. What do you think about that?
Let's remember that date, because I kind of feel like
I think we're going to see it more here when the moon triggers it. The moon in Aries will square the sun in opposition to Pluto.
I think it's more unlikely that it won't happen. So that could be so many different people, but I don't know. I feel like someone in politics, obviously.
Could be a really prominent Gemini.
I knew you were thinking. I knew it. I was like, "What is she talking about him?" No, she's not talking about. She's talking about it. So I mean, you never know.
Could be.
No, see, he has a social media network that's gonna keep him alive for no reason. So it is what it is. It is what it is, you know. But that will be quite the call of the century. I will say that. It could be, we could see the crowning of a new vice president too, you know, because
I think it's about a rearrangement of order.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be about the death of old power, people who in power. Could be women. I mean, we might see that. I mean, I'm not going to say God save the queen because I'm an American, but who knows, right? There could be something that can happen where we see some major shift in regards to some prominent family, and with the moon square, it's gonna reactivate that, the 19th going into the 20th.
I think what we're losing sight of is the fact that as we're recording this now, there's an event that's being triggered that we're talking about.
Yeah, we're filming this at like the third week of June. Just so you guys know, like this is coming out. We're doing this 2 or 3 weeks before it comes out, so we don't know.
And you mentioned it though, that you kind of alluded to it. I really think we're going to be embroiled in that by this period. So it's probably just now happening before we're.
But also, this interests me as well. Like when Venus comes into the opposition with Pluto, clearly it's after the Mars-Uranus North Node conjunction at the beginning of August, but Venus rules the North Node. So when Venus opposes Pluto here, from August 8th through August 10th,
Jupiter retrograde.
Venus opposed Pluto is literally, we've got the North Node Lord, the South Node Lord, and then the moon's going to come in and it's going to trigger it. This is restructuring world powers and resources and
new
money.
Collective mandates, probably.
Well, and also Venus deals with health. And Venus being in opposition to Pluto is going to be some real intense power struggles in regards to like money and home and like banking. Like I don't like saying this stuff because it's fucked up. But I'm like looking at this going like, people keep saying, oh, inflation's like not a big deal. We're not in a recession. And I'm looking at this going like, oh my God, is this like the 2008 housing crisis? You know?
But a lot of it's going to be unexpected. Even though it's going to be manufactured, right? Like,
yeah. Part of me is like, do you get your money out of the bank?
You're not going to see it coming when it happens, basically.
Like, does it make sense to get your money out of the bank?
Yeah.
Because, like, is the money going to be worth anything? I don't know.
That's a huge possibility. But see, if that were to happen, we're not going to see it coming. Like, it's just going to happen.
Well, it's also as the sun's coming into opposition with Saturn. So we're getting way in the future, but it's clear that we're going to collectively have to start making some real hard decisions about what wealth means and whether or not we're willing to subscribe to this kind of capitalistic agenda that's like work so you can spend so you can, have all of the things. But does wealth mean like having the car and the house and all of the physical assets, or does wealth mean having freedom, having food, having resources? And when you break out of this feeling of like needing to subscribe to the agenda, change happens, right? Because you're seeing Venus in a sextile to Mars, Venus in a sextile to the North Node, which is saying what can we do in terms of being resourceful? What can we do at home within our own? Oh
and,
boy.
And the most important thing too is what is the new wave? What albums are people dropping? What movies are dropping?
Oh my gosh, did you hear Beyonce's new song?
No, but I did hear that Kevin Gates wanted to drink Beyonce's urine. That's all I heard. Yeah.
You should go and listen to Beyonce's
She dropped a new song?
It sounds like she's like convincing everybody to like level up in terms of their vibes and quit their job.
Really? What's it called?
I don't remember.
But she just dropped it.
Yeah, it was like this morning.
Whoa.
I was listening to it and I was like, oh, it's like about like not allowing people to like disrupt your vibe and just I mean, I'll play it for you later. It's good. Okay. If I play it, we're gonna get copyright infringement and bullshit from YouTube, who's just looking for an excuse to be able to nail us. But I don't know. I think that the lighter side, because there is a light side. The moon's gonna trine the north node, right? And you're gonna see sextiles to the south node, semi-sextiles, trines. I mean, there's all kinds of shit going on here. This is kind of like, okay, cool, let it go. Like, this is the moon that's like, fucking, all right, cool, I don't need to control this anymore. And the days to follow, obviously. You know, it's kind of like, well, let the Jenga tower fall.
Yeah, the gauntlet. And,
Fuck. I'm going to look at that lunar return for you. I have to. Now I'm invested. I'm invested now. This is exactly in my 4th house square my moon. And I know exactly how it's going to play out.
Uh-oh.
And in the back of my mind, I'm like, nope. No, 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 no. No. It doesn't have to go like that. But I'm like, it's going to go like that. I love those cardinal squares. I like have like 2020 like PTSD. Do you ever have that when you see cardinal squares? Like when I see like Mars coming into the square with Pluto right now, I like want to like put a helmet on and start screaming and like grab toilet paper.
I've just kind of resigned my fate and accepted.
You're just like dead inside with that Saturn moon.
Yeah,
right?
Pluto went through my moon, so like I've already been like,
Bitch, try to have that shit on your sun.
yeah.
Yeah, okay, the moon's worse. I had Pluto square my moon. That was fucking
No, but
terrible.
she got the Uranus opposition too, which is probably not fun.
No, I feel insane. I feel like a crazy person. I'm over it.
I'm not looking forward to the
I'm
Saturn
ready to quit
square.
my job and join the circus.
What's the Saturn square like? Because I gotta go through that next.
The first one wasn't so bad, touch wood, but now that it's at 18, so it's a little different, and it's with Uranus, so I don't know, it's flavored with other things. But Saturn square my sun killed off a lot of friendships and made me realize that I don't give a fuck about money so much, which was a good thing. And it was like, I'm not gonna create anything unless it brings me value.
Nice.
That's what it's done. But it just lower energy levels. But the South Node's there too, so I'm just getting
You don't have
raked over the
Neptune
coals.
with it, so that's what's up.
What do you mean?
I gotta get the Neptune.
Square?
Neptune Saturn square.
Oh, soon.
In like 2 years.
That'll be the natal Saturn Neptune. My 7th.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Oh yeah. Binding for sure.
Well, let us know. What do you guys think? How are you feeling about this full moon? Even regardless of some of the stuff, I'm optimistic because I feel like, even Rome fell.
Rome had like 2 Pluto returns though, right?
Yeah.
After the first one, the corruption came
Yeah.
through. Okay, because we have that happening right now. But, that's interesting.
You're like seeing the United States as like Gotham City at its finest. That's what's happening.
The
right
Plutonian wizard who had dead people vote for him. But it is and a Lucifer vice president. That's legendary. I just had to say that. But yeah.
Well, hopefully it's a good full moon for you guys. Enjoy it. Obviously put out all your creepy skulls and animal bones and sacrifice a goat and all the things that you usually do when you're dealing with Pluto. Let us know where in your chart is it taking place. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Leave us a thumbs up, subscribe, donate money to our beer and alcohol fund so we can keep doing this for you guys. And we will see all of you very soon. Take care.
Peace.